Surprise everybody. Clearing. Oh, what the heck? Clearing twice on Sundays. Okay. Here we go. So Divine Masculines, let's get into this. What can we see? Thank you, Divine Creator. What can we see for the status of the connections, the unions at this time? We are getting the upper world and many paths. So I'm going to look at these two energies. Where is my guidebook? Okay, Mystical Shaman Oracle 59. The upper world. The angels, divine helpers, and ancient ones, and all varieties of luminous beings populate the upper world. It is a place where you go to retrieve your destiny and to find out who you will become, discover your great potentials and undreamt of possibilities. It is also the place where the spirits of the dead arrive when they complete their journey to the light. The invitation here is, the upper world is calling you to step into your fully realized self. Clear distractions so that you can move into a higher destiny. Do not fall to the temptation to craft a slightly more improved version. What you perceive as a problem or an obstacle is, in fact, the irritation you need to take the great leap. Remember, you cannot cross the Grand Canyon in 2 small jumps. So we are taking this ascended bound up into the unbounded, the potential and many paths. What can we get from this card? So the connection right now is the poise on the leap of faith. Wow, we're getting the 34, which I said today or yesterday even, that number is the inverse of the self-love. So the golden rule for many paths, the essence. All paths lead to spirit. What you bring to your journey is what will determine if yours is a path of suffering, a path of wisdom, a path of bliss, or a path of loss. Here's the duality. So we can't leap into the upper world if we are in the path of suffering and loss. Your emotions indicate to you what dimension you're in and what you can align with through faith. If you can let go of the pain, let go of the perception of loss, and move into wisdom and bliss, you will find this leap to the upper world. Consider the traveler who met 2 stonemasons. He asks one what he is doing, and the mason replies, "I'm squaring out this stone." He asks the other who is doing the exact same thing, and he gets this reply, "I am building a cathedral." One man has a job, the other has found his work and calling. He is part of an endeavor which is much greater than himself. Be sure you pick the path with a heart. So this connection is a path much greater than the self. And it is a leap up into the higher upper world. With the many paths, the invitation is, your call now is to take a big, bold step and leave the beaten path. Heaven and earth are conspiring on your behalf to support you in this move. Do not dally lest you miss the moment. It's time to sail into the uncharted. Be sure you attend to both your path through this earth as well as your journey through the stars. So the journey here, this is in the shared space. It's for the collective where we're at all together. We are poised on this big leap to overcome, to ascend together. I'm going to get a card now. Where does this leave the masculines next? What are the masculines doing next? Okay, so regarding their own personal life, not juggling, streamlining, one decision at a time, one choice in the moment at a time, to leave the suffering and loss and go into the bliss and wisdom. So that's one at a time as it pertains to this connection. And that means being in humility, in balance, overcoming the devil energies regarding divine feminine. It's a simultaneous process there to rise up bit by bit within, which also assists the connection with the feminine. What is it that the feminines are doing here? Traveling, moving forward, putting one foot in front of the other. This is a card of baby steps. This is a card of energetically walking the line, going forward. Okay, so that I'm going to leave those there and get into a masculine reading with some information for the divine feminines as well. So thank you, divine creator. What can we see for where the divine masculines are at? Oh, I see healing on the destined path. What are they thinking of the connection? What are they feeling for their divine counterpart on the heart space? What are the divine masculines wishing? There's that Two of Coins again with this passionate new beginning, soul focus, not the ways of the world, but the focus of the spiritual in the connection. Oh, and there's the Strength card again. So yeah, what are the divine masculines most challenged by at this time? What is the spirit guided solution for that challenge, and where are things going? And what can the divine feminine see regarding the energies that will come up? And I'm going to also get a Starseed Oracle. Always get questions about this deck. Starseed Oracle, Wizard Azanon on Etsy. We'll look at the union space. What is the third energy being created on the journey at this time in the collective? Okay, divine masculines, what are you looking at this connection? Page of Swords and free will. This is the card of taking the easy way, doing things with short-sightedness, telling people what they want to hear, not communicating enough, lying by omission, that kind of a thing. They're very curious about the effect this tendency might have on the connection. And there's another opportunity to do this coming up. So they are feeling convicted a little bit and curious about, oh, I just heard, whether they can get away with this or if it's still advantageous to have that need to know basis. Sometimes this can be that gag order that the divine masculines fall prey to in this connection when it's not ready to move forward. There has been this laziness or an inability to communicate fully. Something is triggering the masculines to consider this option again right now. I want to see you in person, I just heard. So there may be things piling up that the divine masculines are looking forward to sharing only in person at this point. What can the divine feminine see about this? Go to your connection to source. You don't need to know. So divine masculines are processing, becoming curious about this pattern, these patterns in the past, and divine feminines, you're meant to literally be okay with not knowing and going to divine guidance, tapping into source, taking the high road. Look at this person is so blissfully focused on things that are not mundane, just really looking at the higher spiritual guidance. So the breakthrough here is this means your divine masculine's doing the work, and it's none of your business because it's their process of overcoming, and it actually isn't meant to be taken personally. So if you're watching this and this is triggering you, you're not in divine feminine energy. This is the most beautiful thing that a divine masculine can go through if they need to see what is worthy of contribution on their part. This is how they're going to do it. So if that triggered you, that they're thinking of this theme of taking the easy way out or not, that means it's in their conscious understanding that they do that, and that's growth. So divine feminines, drop into spirit, drop into heart. Let your divine masculine be right now. What is this doing for the connection? Scientific pursuits, exactly. This is trial and error. This is where the divine masculines are actually going to be impeccable with their speech. This is where their throat chakra gets a chance to be balanced in the world on these very spiritual, energetic, themed interactions. This is where we have the choice point to lay down more negative karma or not at our own hand. So divine masculines, because they are now fully accountable, fully aware of how their choices that way affect dynamics and their reality, divine feminines, let them do it. Let them have opportunities autonomously where they can make the right choices, do the right thing. That may not be fully in your connection yet. I'm getting that there is some independent opportunities for the masculines to be doing this, and that you can just leave well enough alone right now, divine feminines. Scientific pursuits, divine masculines are seeing that when they don't take the easy way, they get different results, and they're going to be liking the results that they get when they're not in lazy energy, I just heard. So it's causing this proof that when we do things wholeheartedly, sincerely, authentically, we don't get that negative backlash. So the divine masculines are going to be seeing freedom coming into their lives on a deeper level, in being even more authentic than ever, even when they have felt like it wasn't necessary to do so. Lots of messages there. That's amazing. 1143. So what can we see here for heart space, Queen of Swords, and happiness? Okay, more karmic feminine energy, more of this giving over the power to others, specifically to feminine influences in their life. They're really seeing how that hasn't served anyone, how it hasn't served them, how that has not produced happiness, how it's unnecessary. Still looking at this very, very deep hold that the feminine energy, the mother wound, the separation wound, just how feminine energy has had a lording over the masculine subconscious. They're really understanding that they have inadvertently given too much power to the feminine to dictate happiness. Interesting. What are the feminines supposed to know? That's why your divine masculine has not been in divine masculine energy. That's why you have felt them in weak energy, is because they have been easily controlled by karmic feminine energy, or the belief that the feminine has power over them that they cannot escape from, and the rejection, the resistance of powerful feminine energy, because they're afraid of how diabolical the control could be. So they're afraid of losing themselves. They're really looking at what the heck that is. Where did that fear come from? How have they subscribed to it without being conscious? How they can see it in a different way so that it doesn't have power over them. They're working on coming into their empowerment, their strength. So divine feminines, just know that you haven't wanted this version of the divine masculine, and this has been partly why the divine masculines haven't come forward. They've still needed to heal this on behalf of humanity so they can be this torchbearer for the light. How has that been affecting the connection? Adenine and thymine. Okay, so we're going to read this one because we read the one about guanine and cystosine yesterday, and I'm really taken with these definitions. I haven't read this one in the guidebook yet, so let's see. How is this heart-centered understanding from the masculines regarding feminine, subconscious feminine control over them? How has that been affecting the connection? And divine feminines, you're starting to see that this is the cause of the weak energy. So how is this playing out? The two hydrogen bonds between the DNA nucleotides adenine and thymine symbolize both the pairing and separation of opposites as related to form and formlessness, masculine and feminine, positive charge and negative charge, duality and balance, the competing polarities that create tension and growth, and are the fundamental energies of creation. In musical terms, this equates to an interval, or the relationship between two things. Trust in contrasts, for they are given as evolutionary tools that balance duality for free will choices, that provide comparisons, and are catalysts for new learning. Multidimensional codes and information are being transmitted through the art into these nucleotides and the first 5 strands of DNA. Black color, the physical body; gray, emotional body; silver, mental body; gold, spiritual body; platinum, causal body, for enhanced consciousness, connection, and healing. So there is a DNA level healing going on, and that is on behalf of humanity. So we are arcs, we are storehouses of energetic quantum information, the Akash. Our DNA holds those codes, but it's not just a physical thing, it is a quantum thing. And as we write that code through the quantum, through free will, we shift the DNA, and that continues the library of evolution passed down to the next generations. But it's not just strictly genetic material, it is a consciousness motion, and it is connected as a whole. As we do this, what we do for self, we do for twin, what we do in these dynamics, just like everyone else rising up through the ascension, we give that permission to humanity to see these new things, to embody these new frequencies, or these consistent frequencies. There is nothing new under the sun, but we are becoming more aligned with the higher vibrational things as a whole. So divine masculines are working on this. Beautiful. What are they wishing? What are the divine masculines wishing for at this time? Oh my gosh, 4 of Cups by the 4 of Cups. This is the missed opportunities from the past. They are really working on the puzzle of what the heck happened in the past with you, divine feminine, and why. And why. So they are really working on their free will choices and why they have made the choices they have, why they have not reciprocated the love. They're taking accountability. They're looking at it for the times that you have not free flowed with the connection, the awkward, cringy, not appropriate timing, all of that, and themselves. They're round table telepathic thought discussions happening here, hypothetical if you may, about both sides, why both haven't. I'm hearing, what can we see for the High Priestess? So this is the telepathic conduit to higher knowing. We got the High Priest and the High Priestess for what you're meant to be doing, divine feminine. You're meant to be just, be still and know that just because it hasn't happened in the past doesn't mean it's not meant to. That's part of the learning. That's part of the big picture. When we can see the big picture for the pendulum swings, the unrequited love to the what is balanced reciprocal love, that is a spectrum of learning. So be still and know that this is the higher understanding that the twins are being entrusted with, so we can translate these things to the rest of humanity, so we can infiltrate the laws, the regulations, the philosophies, and update for humanity through our influence into the world. So we have to live it from the inside out, divine masculines and feminines. That qualifies us through life experience to say we know what we're talking about and to bring that success story to humanity. Spiritual sovereignty is what it's doing in this connection. When we can see that it has been a bigger picture, it's been both sides of the coin equally, then we understand we've each held a spiritual sovereign role to play. Astral travel, timelessness. And so this unhooks us from the moment of tit for tat, and it brings us into the timelessness, the big picture, the holistic view of this journey. And we are getting more of the cosmic codes coming in at this time, I'm hearing. What can we see for the actions the masculines are taking? They are clearing the burden. They're clearing more levels of this misconception in their lives. So there are things that have been affecting the divine masculines, that they are seeing new levels of needing to set these healthy boundaries. It has to do with how much they've people pleased, given their power away, specifically when it comes to the feminine. Ooh, I heard feminine allure. Jezebel spirit, the temptation, but it's also the mother aspects, and being able to fall prey to what women, feminines, have been doing. So this is where they also now know they don't fall prey to the seduction I'm getting. This is very wands. Wands are so very sensual and phallic at the same time. So what is this doing for? It's also the soul level, where we become aligned with the true spark of creation. We can, when we're in a lower vibrational state, we can misunderstand that sexual connection or sexual pull, temptation, lust, all of that is you know, it has a lot of power over us, but the grander yoga, so to speak, is that that is the spark of creation, of spiritual awareness, of divinity within us, of the magnificence, the miracles, the soul stuff coming into physical form. It's so much more metaphysical and miraculous than we stop to think of when we just think of the simple lust-based animalistic pull. There is a higher sexuality, a higher spirituality coming in, and sacred sexuality coming to the forefront. So feminines, do the work to see it that way too. You can't have twin flame sexual union in the heightened, destined way it's meant to come in until both see the clearing, the healing that pre-qualifies to meet in that sacred, pure, galactic, spiritual seat of creation. Oof. What is this doing for the connection? Ancestry, courage, wisdom, and empathy. Yes, we're looking at family line clearing. We're looking at the ways humans have navigated sexuality, sensuality on the planet. We're having empathy for the more survival ways, and we're taking the wisdom from that and allowing the wisdom to support the courage to do things differently, to carve out, to fight for what is good and right and true and really hot. So divine masculines, you are clearing through the chaff of sexual connections, but also the deeper energies that cause you to fall prey to those lustful things. What is the biggest challenge for the masculines? Holding their own in spite of self-sabotage, in spite of abandonment wounds, the original separation wound, existential crisis, finding stride, feeling safe, being embodied. That's the challenge. What do you need to know about that? Yeah, feminines, here's this Two of Coins that we got twice already for the masculines. They are working on it. It is showing progress. They are figuring it out. It is bit by bit. They are healing that. They are investing in themselves by unhooking from what doesn't work and investing in what does, one at a time. What is this doing in the connection? Ecstasy, rapture, flux, amplification, heart wave resonator. You are connected through your heart space, through your heart and soul with your masculine. What your masculine does for self, they do for you. And so let them keep doing this for self. What is the solution for the masculines coming into their own? Communication about this. So divine masculines, you are being encouraged to communicate. So that free will exploration, the curiosity that you're having right now to see how your free will has allowed you to navigate or not in certain situations, and how that has allowed you to relate or not to certain feminine energies, that perseverance, that journey, that hero's journey is worthy of being communicated. That's going to be part of you claiming the victory and safety That's part of the markers, the energetic markers, when you can talk about it, when you can express where you're at on that process. That is one of the victory markers here. So you are being guided to communicate where you're at in that perseverance towards the goal. And remember, Divine Feminines, look at the imagery here in this card. When you're being guided, you don't have to know. Your masculine's going to tell you this thing. So just trust, just know that you can go to source right now in total faith that your Divine Masculine is climbing this ladder, that your Divine Masculine's got your back, that they are going to communicate when they can find the words. It's part of their journey to come to these things, to be able to voice it freely without pressure. Divine Feminines, if you need to know, you are pressuring against your Divine Masculine's free will, and you are being karmic feminine energy. So don't be that guy, Divine Feminines. Don't be that. Just wait. Your Divine Masculine, trust this connection. Your Divine Masculine will share on a need-to-know basis. Don't be frustrated by the need-to-know basis. That's a very loving thing. Give yourself and your Divine Masculine the kindness you both deserve here. Don't take it personally, and give your masculine the benefit of the doubt. What is that going to do for the connection? Freedom! Sensitivity, beauty, and sensuality. I'm hearing Richie Havens at the Woodstock singing Freedom. Any of you know that? It's so beautiful. God, his voice. I just heard him singing in my head. Freedom, freedom. Anyways, I'm not going to sing it more than that, but go hear it. Beautiful. Pleiadian energy, sensitivity, beauty, sensuality. And what did we just get in the actions? Divine Masculines laying down the law with what is sensual, what is drawing them sexually now. Oof. Yeah, Divine Feminines, it's coming in. This is where passion can really spark between people, when there's freedom, when it's not an obligation, when it's kind, when it's wanted mutually, when it's mutual, when it is appropriate, because it's wholehearted from both. Oh, that's good stuff. Where's the connection going? Ooh, heartache and the destined path. So there's more clearing of this heartache. I'm hearing mutual conversations. Conversations are coming, everybody, that's going to clear up the heartache. Feminines, what do you need to know about that? It might be a tower, but it's not as bad as you think. We got this message yesterday that everybody's in more unconditional love, to have these autonomous sovereign conversations where we can talk about some of the things that would have been way more triggering in the past. We're getting down to layers of communication where, yes, it's going to change everything. We do have a tower, but it's in the reverse, meaning it's not as bad as you think. And it is a necessary mutual understanding, seeing eye to eye about what was perceived as heartache in the past that is no longer a deal breaker blockage to this destiny, but it does need to be talked about. So there is something, you might not understand what this heartache energy is going to be. It's not about you or the other person as you relate to each other, but it affects how you relate to each other. So it's the misconceptions that you've each been under, the karmic clearing, the inner workings of it, the things that have had to be persevered through. So there's going to be beautiful conversations that clear the path to union here. And the energetic card for that, linear sequencing, hierarchy, time, and logic. We have had to go through these masculine and feminine journeys in order to see the lessons, to see the awareness, to see the contemporary level of evolution for humanity, so that we can put it in order and restructure. This is the way that we navigate. It's like research and development, and now scientific pursuits. So we're coming into collaborating. These conversations are high-level energetic collaborations. Twin flames, you are masters in relationship dynamics. You're both learning these aspects, and coming together and talking about them absolutely is a scientific process. It bridges science and religion, I just heard. And so it is a unified field theory. Amazing. Love. Who would have thunk it? Love is a unified field theory. Okay, one more for each. Divine counterpart, divine masculines. What can we see for divine masculines? Sacral chakra, yep, there's that sexual healing, the sensual switch over from, you know, being submissive, inadvertently controlled by the feminine, and now stepping into freedom and healing. So the frequency of the sacral chakra, the orange flower of life, supports our ability to flow with our desires and stimulates our creative power to manifest success and abundance in our lives. Divine masculines are reclaiming the sacral chakra away from the lust templates, coming out of the control of the feminine, succumbing to lust, succumbing to being a pushover, being in weak energy. So whether it's giving into temptation or doing what others say, divine masculines are reclaiming their sacral chakra into their creative empowerment. The sacral chakra is our bliss chakra. It's also our creative and channeling chakra. So when we reclaim it and we become autonomous and spiritually sovereign, we can remember the voice of the divine, because the voice of the divine is the most ecstatic alignment, the most bliss-filled, the highest frequency. So when we have this balanced out, we no longer succumb to the lusts and the temptations to give away our power, and we follow divine will. What is it for the feminines? Soul time and change. We get the frequency of soul time asks us to allow the possibility of a new reality to emerge, one that embraces the concept that while the corporeal body is mortal, the soul is timeless, limitless, and infinite. Remember, this is a soul journey. This is a journey of mastery, where we include the soul into our physical experience forevermore. We are anchoring the soul into this dimension as we ascend up from the lower vibrational things. It feels like we're bringing soul in, but we are ascending up through the levels of perception as souls up through the material. But it is a temporary gift we get here with life. So remember, don't take this 3D world so seriously. It's all about the soul. That's the infinite aspect. And our connections with our divine counterparts are becoming more spiritual and therefore more sacred. And that is one of the energies to reclaim the sensual, the sexual, back into these true love connections, where it is a primary connection between two that can be unbroken. What the divine shall combine, let no person separate. That is not a judgment. That is a statement of the validity of true connection. No person could separate that. So it's let me channel another way to interpret that. What the divine alignment exemplifies, nothing can compare. Change. The frequency of change supports our ability to gracefully dance with the forever changing nature of reality, both inward and outward, so that we can appreciate the sweet release of the old and the birth of the new. So a new reality emerging and the birth of the new. Feminines believe it. This can come back around. Masculines believe it. It does have to do with the healing of the sacral chakra and the reclamation of your right to be in alignment with ecstasy at all times, authentically. And that has to do with the sensual connection to your divine feminine. Many blessings. Bye for now.